Hey guys, so I know I look a little crazy right now because I have two totally different eye looks on, but today I got to play with the two new palettes from Oden's Eye. I feel like everyone is talking about these palettes right now, and for good reason, because these palettes are stunning. They are new from Oden's Eye, so we have the Stone and Rock palette and then the Jewels and Gem palette. Oden's Eye reached out to me and asked if I wanted to try these two new palettes from them and do some eye looks, and I said of course. So this video is kindly sponsored by Oden's Eye, but these palettes are so pretty. Let's talk about them. So here are what the two palettes look like. I love the sizes of these. This one is Jewels and Gem, and this one is the Stone and Rock. I feel like a lot of people are really excited about this, and myself included, because these are kind of more of a neutral tone palette from Oden's Eye. I only have one other palette from them. It is the Christmas Eve palette that I bought sometime last year. I think I did a video or two with that. So last year was the first year that I tried their shadows, and I was so impressed by the quality and the formula. The mattes are so pigmented. They don't get patchy. They blend out very easily, but the shimmers are where it's at with Oden's Eye. Like, clearly you can see I have some shimmers on both of my eyes right now. They are just so pigmented and like blinding and intense, but in such a good way. So these palettes are $35.90 a piece, and they are available now, and they are not limited edition palettes, which means that you have plenty of time to think about whether or not you want to purchase these, but I think they're just stunning. I created two looks with each palette. For this look on my face right now, I used the Stone and Rock palette, and then of course I created two other looks with the Jewels and Gem palette. So if you want to see how I got these gorgeous eyeshadow looks, go and keep on watching. Alright, I'm going to start off with the Jewels and Gem palette. I love these cool tone shades and how the palette is a little bit more muted, so let's do two looks with this palette. I'm going to start off by priming my eye with the Urban Decay Primer Potion. I'm going to start with the shade Heaven on a Sigma E57. I'm going to start by packing this shade into my crease. Oh, I was so drawn to this like cool tone muted purple. This is gorgeous. That pigment is so intense, wow. And I'm bringing this shade onto the outer part of my lid as well. Now I'm going to take a clean Sigma E27 and just start to blend around these edges. I'm going to pick up the shade Elation on this brush and use that around the edges of Heaven. These shades are blending beautifully together. I also wanted to point out that I have zero fallout on my face right now. On that same E27, I'm going to pick up Ecstasy, and I'm going to use that to soften out this harsh line right here. All these shades kind of mixed together is making like a really pretty lavender. I like this. I do want to blend out these edges a little bit more, so I'm just going to take a skin tone colored eyeshadow. You could also use a foundation powder for this step just to really soften out these edges and give it a nice kind of blown out look. Now I'm going to go back with that E57 with more of that first shade Heaven, and I'm just going to touch up the intensity of that on the outer part of my lid, just because it did kind of get a little blended away, but that's totally fine. And then I'm just picking up a little more Elation, placing that back in the crease. Okay, now I just have to pick up one of these shimmers. I'm gonna swatch these really quick so we can see what we're working with. Okay, here's just a few of them swatched right here. Oh my gosh, just look at how like reflective those are in the light. I'm so drawn to this shade right here because it kind of reminds me of Solstice from Urban Decay, which is like one of my favorite eyeshadows ever. That is the shade Rhapsody, so I'm gonna take that on my finger. Oh my gosh, can we just like take a moment here? I'm just gonna go right on the inner part of my lid where it's blank. I cannot with Oden's Eye's shimmers. Like, this is the most beautiful thing ever. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, 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 wow. Then I'm gonna take like whatever's left of my finger and just kind of pull that towards here. This was only one dip into the shadow with my finger. I'm gonna take my E27 I was using and just softly blend around that. All right, now for the lower lash line, I'm gonna go back to that Heaven shade on the tip of my E57, and that's gonna go along the outer part of my lower lash line. And you wanna make sure you're connecting the shadow to your upper lid, right out here. And then on my E27, I'm gonna take more of that light lavender ecstasy shade and just softly blend around those edges. When I first opened the palette, I was really drawn to this shade right here. So I'm gonna take Intoxication on a Sigma E21, and I'm gonna use that to deepen up my lash line. So I'm just kind of stamping that shade right along my bottom lashes. And then I'm also gonna stamp some of this along the outer part of my top lash line. Just for a little definition. Now I'm gonna take a little bit more of that shimmery Rhapsody shade on my pinky and just place it right on that inner part of my lower lash line. I just can't get over this shade. Okay, I placed that a little bit lower than I wanted, but that's fine. It looks like I'm just crying glitter, and that's fine with me. I'm gonna take a little bit of this Elatedness shade, and I'm taking that on a Sigma E33, and I'm just gonna pop that right in my inner corner. Okay, is there too much happening in my inner corner? Maybe. I'm just gonna take my concealer brush and just pat right over here. There we go. That got rid of some of the shimmer, but really it's not bad. It looks kind of fun and cool. All right, I popped on my mascara and lashes, and for my lashes, I'm wearing Daydream from my brand, The Bright Lashes. And here is look number 1 with the Jewels and Gem palette. Now let's move on to the second look. All right, so again, I'm gonna prime my eyes the exact same way with the Urban Decay Primer Potion. Now for this look, I think I wanna use more of the bluer shades in the palette, so I'm gonna do a couple swatches really quick. Ooh, something kind of along the lines of this. I'm gonna spray a Sigma E57 with some setting spray, and I'm gonna pick up the shade Paradise, and that's gonna go all over my lid. And this eye is a little more hooded than my other eye, so what I'm gonna do is just completely kind of relax my face. You can see this extra loose skin right here. I'm gonna go right on top of that to try to make my lid look a little bit bigger. And then when I kind of lift up my eyebrow, I can see how far up I want to go. This shade is so pretty. It gives me like starry night vibes. So again, when my eye is relaxed, I can kind of see this shade peeking through on my hood right here. Now I'm gonna take a clean Sigma E42 and just start to blend around these edges. I always like to start with a clean blending brush and then add more eyeshadow as I need it. Now I'm going to take this transition shade on that same E42, and I'm actually going to use this shade kind of as my transition shade, so I'm blending in the crease right above that Paradise shade. Gotta say, I really do love the colors in this palette. I love how it's kind of more of a neutral vibe, but there still is some color in it, but the colors aren't like primary, scary, bright colors. They're very easy to work with and not that intimidating. All right, now I got this nice harsh line that I need to blend out. So again, I'm just gonna take a skin tone colored eyeshadow on a Sigma E27 and start to blend around this harshness. Alright, now I'm going to go back in with that shade I started with, Paradise, on my finger. I just always like to go back and intensify the shades that I started with because after doing some blending, they do kind of fade a little bit. Now I'm going to take a little bit of this Gorgeousness shade, and again, I'm taking a little bit on my finger. I'm just going to press that right into the center of my lid. And this is going to give the eye a slight little halo effect. Love that. Now for the lower lash line, I'm going to take the shade Rapture on the tip of my E57, and that's going to go along my entire lower lash line. Ooh, this shade is very blue and very pigmented. Okay, I might have placed down a little bit too much, but nothing a little blending can't fix. I'm going to go back to that E42 blending brush I was using. I have nothing on this brush right now, and I'm just going to blend right on top of that. And as always, I like to pull the eyeshadow out. I'm gonna go back to that skin tone colored shade I was using earlier and just blend around these edges. I am surprised that I didn't get any fallout with that blue shade on my lower lash line. Like, as soon as I applied it, I was like, oh crap, but literally no fallout. Amazing. While I'm out here, I'm adding a little bit more of that transition kind of turquoisey shade right in my outer crease because I feel like it disappeared a little bit on me. The thing with these eyeshadows is that they're just so dang pigmented, so you only need to pick up a tiny bit when you're using their palettes. Like, I can't imagine like hitting pan on one of these shades because there's just so much pigment. Now, same as the other eye, I'm going to take Elatedness on an E33 and I'm going to pop that in my inner corner. I'm also adding a tiny bit of that under my brow as well. I feel like this look just needs a black kind of smudgy eyeliner, so I'm going to take my Wonderskin eyeliner in black and I'm going to line my waterline. Now I'm going to go pop on some mascara and lashes. All right, now it's time to dig into the Stone and Rock palette. You guys know I love green eyeshadow, so I'm super excited to dig into this. I think I want to kind of do more of a neutral look on this eye and then more of like an intense green look on this eye, so let's get started. Again, I'm priming with the Urban Decay Primer Potion. I'm going to start with the shade Jubilance on a Sigma E28, and I'm going to start by packing the shade on the outer part of my lid and bringing it into my outer crease. I love using brushes like this to pack on shades because it's a fluffy brush, but it still has some firmness to it. So it's really good at doing it this kind of shape if you like to do this with your eyeshadow. This is a beautiful brown color. Now I'm going to take a Sigma E25 with no eyeshadow on it and start to blend around these edges. And then going back to my skin tone colored eyeshadow I used earlier and using that to really soften out these edges. Now that I've blended, I'm gonna go back in with Jubilance and just touch that up right on the outer lid. When I first saw this palette, I was super drawn to this shade right here, so I'm gonna take that on the same E25, and I'm going to dust that in my inner crease. I actually think I want to bring it all the way down on my lid. So I have Madness on the flat side of my E25. I'm just patting that on my inner lid. And then just kind of blending those two matte shades together right in the center. I love how this color combo looks so far. It's kind of different, but I would still call this kind of neutrally, right? I definitely want to add a little bit of shimmer to my lid though. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of this Gleefulness shade on my E25. And I'm using this fluffy brush to apply this shade just on my inner lid because I don't want to use a packing brush because I don't want too much of this shade. I just kind of want more of like a soft shimmer just because I know how intense Oden's eyes shimmers can be, which is not a bad thing. But if you want a softer look, use a fluffier brush to apply it rather than a packing lid kind of brush. Wow, this color is gorgeous though. Now for the lower lash line, I'm going to take the shade Exuberance on a Sigma E30, and that's going to go along my entire lower lash line. This is such a fun green shade, I love it. Now I'm just going to take my E28 with nothing else really on it and just kind of connect this lower lash line to the outer part of the shadow right out here. Now I want to do a little shadow wing with this matte elevated shade. So I have that on an angled E65 brush from Sigma, and I'm just going to stamp that shade along my top lash line, mostly the outer part. And then I'm also going to stamp that along the base of the outer part of my lower lashes. And this is going to give me a guideline for the wing. And now I'm just going to take that shadow from my lower lash line and go straight out to make a little wing. And then connecting it to the top lash line. And then you want to fill in that little triangle. Okay, I'm super happy with that shadow wing. I also love that color. It's a really, really deep brown that's almost black, but it's not black. I like this shade. Now I'm gonna pick up this matte white on another Sigma E30 and I'm gonna pop that in my inner corner as a matte highlight. This is so pigmented, oh my gosh. I'm also adding a tiny bit of that white under my brow. All right, here is this eye look all done. For my lashes, I'm wearing Flutter from my brand, The Bright Lashes. This is actually a half lash, so it's just sitting right out here, super cute, and I love how this look turned out. All right, we are moving on to the final look of this video, again, going in with the primer potion. Before I get started, I need to swatch these 3 green shimmers just to see what I'm working with here, because I know for sure I want to use at least one of these. Okay, wow, these are all so pretty. I really like these 2 on the bottom right here. And I don't think you can tell on camera, but this one right here is actually a duochrome. It shifts from blue to green. In person, oh my gosh, it's stunning. Oh, is there like purple in there too? Okay, I'm using that one. I hope it shows up on camera, okay? Even if I turn it on camera, you can't see the shift. I hope it shows up on the eye. So I'm gonna take the shade High Spirits on a damp E54, and this is gonna go on my outer and inner corner. Oh my gosh, this is like a mermaid green. It is so pretty. And again, I'm going to relax my eye and kind of bring this onto my hood. I'm gonna cover the whole lid for now, but I am gonna brighten up the center, so I'm not too worried about the center of my lid at this moment. So I'm picking up a little bit more and bringing this higher into my crease. I think you can see the shift because it looks like I have 2 different shades on my lid, but it's literally the same exact shade. And I'm gonna kind of wing out this side a little bit. And then as I did with most of these looks, I'm gonna take a clean E25 and just blend around the edges. This shade is actually blending out pretty well on its own, which is kind of surprising for such a like duochrome, almost a multi-chrome shade. Actually, I think this is technically a multi-chrome. It's crazy. Now I'm gonna take Cheerfulness on my finger. This one's like a minty green. It's so pretty. And that's gonna go on the center of my lid. So again, I'm kind of doing a halo eye by brightening up the center here. I'm gonna take a little bit of the shade Cheer on my E30, and I'm gonna use that to deepen up the outer and inner corner just a little bit more, just to really intensify that halo effect. I'm taking the tiniest bit of the white matte shade in the palette, just using that to blend out this inner crease area just a tad, just because I feel like it needed a little bit of lightening. I'm literally picking up the tiniest amount of eyeshadow. I'm also gonna blend some of that white right out here as well. All right, for the lower lash line, I'm gonna go back to that Cheer shade on my E30, and I'm gonna blend that along my entire lower lash line. And then just taking a skin tone colored eyeshadow to soften out the lower lash line. Now I'm going to take that Cheerfulness shade again, the shade that's on the center of my lid, and I want that on the center of my lower lash line. Just to add a little pop down here. I love adding shimmer to the lower lash line. I'm going to place that matte white in my inner corner again. I gotta say, I do really like the look of this matte white highlight, especially on both looks. And again, a little bit under the brow. All right, here is this eye look all done. Again, I'm wearing the same lash on this eye. It is Flutter from my brand, The Bright Lashes. I love how bright and fun these green shades are. All right, so that's going to wrap up this video. I had such a fun time creating these 4 looks. You guys know that one of my favorite things is just to open a new palette and just like create whatever I want. So I really enjoyed filming this video. Again, if you want to check out these palettes, they are available now, and I will link them down below for you. Thank you again to Oden's Eye for sponsoring this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.